Eric Leblanc means Eric the White. So, do you see the difference between Eric the White and Eric the Blank? Blank is like, there's nothing there. So I prefer Eric Leblanc. So I'm really happy to be here this morning with you. Like I said, with other churches I went, every time I go to an evangelical church outside of my own church, it always seems like I'm among family. This is something that you don't see anywhere else in the world. This is really something special about God's family. So this is really a privilege for me to be with you today. Alan, when he contacted me, asked me to talk to you about what God is doing in the region of Cowansville, because I'm from Cowansville. Later on, I'm going to speak a little bit about myself, my testimony, how I came to Christ, and how I came to serve Him as minister and as a cartoonist. First, we're going to watch. I'm going to follow with you. My notes are on the screen. So, Cowansville, the community of Cowansville. Cowansville is a small church, not small church, but a small city of about 1,300 people. We're between Montreal and Sherbrooke. For those who know about Quebec a little bit, we're right in the middle of it. We're between the region of Montestry, Montérégie and Estrie, so we call it Montestry, which is not a true name by itself. We just invented it. We're about 20 minutes from the Vermont state. 20 minutes from about the Vermont state. So there's a lot of English villages around Cowansville. Again. So I did a little map here. So you see right in the middle of it with the red rectangle, this is Cowansville. And this is the Montérégie, right? And Montérégie and Estrie all around it. And we have two, great city. We have Cowansville and we have Granby, just up north, about 25 minutes from Cowansville. There are about 50,000 people there. And there is Farnham, which is a little bit smaller than Cowansville. Maybe about 10,000 or 8,000 people there. These are the big major centers in our region. All around that is a lot of small villages. Most of these people are Anglophones. They are French people too, but since we're close to the border, a lot of Anglophones are there. So 30,000 population in Cowansville. Mostly French, 75% of people are French and 25% English. There's a lot of senior people. This is something special. Since Cowansville is a small town, we have a high school there, but nothing higher than that. People have children, they go to school, and when they attend to college, they leave. And they do the rest of their lives elsewhere in big centers, but when they come older, they come back to Cowansville. So for, I don't know, maybe the 60 or 70 past years, the population hadn't grown, but it hadn't short either. It's still 30,000 people. Economy was based on factories, but no more, because it was all fabric factories, but all those factories has closed since everything is done in China now. So the town switched from factory base economy to a service-based economy like restaurants, stores, and things like that. So what happened is that big salaries dropped, and now people have low incomes in Cowansville. So 25% of the population earns less than $20,000 a year. So there's a lot of welfare and programs like this. With poverty comes drugs. So there's a lot of drugs in Cowansville. Cowansville, even if there's a lot of drugs, a lot of poor people, it's still a quiet town. People really like to come in Cowansville and visit Cowansville. It really is a good place to live. So, the Church of Cowansville. The planting of the church in Cowansville started in 2003 with the pastor Simon Bélanger. At that time, there was a cell group in Cowansville, but we were all part of our mother church, which was in Granby, the Église évangélique baptiste de la Haute-Yamaska, sorry for the French. So the church was planted by Simon Bélanger, and I started to work under him as assistant pastor at that time. And we were renting an abandoned school, and that was a miracle in itself, because we wanted to have somewhere to rent, and it was all too expensive for us. And we saw that building that was not occupied at the time, and it belonged to the school board. And well, we went to them and asked them if we could rent it. And with some discussion, they decided to rent it to us for, I think it was $425 a month. And we had a whole floor. So that was really cheap. That was really a blessing from the Lord. And we stayed at that place for about, I think it was 11 or 12 years. Yeah, we stayed there for 12 years. And we thought that this place was the place that God wanted to give us. So for 3 times, we tried to buy this building. The school board didn't know what to do with that building. So we asked, are you willing to sell it to us? And 3 times they said, well, yeah, that would be a good idea, but we cannot just sell it to you. We had to make a public offer and to see if there are other people who would like to buy it. And 3 times, we were the only ones. And 3 times at the last minute they say, oh, well, I think we won't sell. So that was kind of frustrating for us. But, okay, next slide. So when we planted the church, we were about 20 people, including the children in the church. And can you go back?
Last point.
Yeah, go back again. No, go up, sorry. Okay, stop it there. So, at that time, when we planted the church, we were a small group, but one night we went to, maybe some of you remember Dunkin' Donut. We had one in Cowansville. Doesn't exist anymore, but we went there, and we had coffee together and just shared our dream. And our dream was to reach that Anglophone part of the population in Cowansville. We had now a church, a Francophone church, but I think the Lord didn't come just for the Francophones, right? Yeah. I think He came for the Anglophones too, and the Spanish, and every population that we're going to cross in our region. But at that time, there were not so many Spanish people, but there was a lot of Anglophone, and there were no evangelical church in the area. So we shared that dream together, and we started to get excited about it, and we said, we need really to pray about this. right now we don't have any resource for reaching these people. Even if we talk to them in English, what are we going to do? We don't have an English pastor, we don't have an English congregation. What are we going to do? So we started to pray about it, and sometimes after that, the Lord answered our prayer. There's a pastor from here in Ontario who's called David Warner, who just finished his degree and started his master, and he wanted to have some experience serving in a church, but in a French church. So he called us, and he just get acquainted, with us and with how we did our service and everything. And he decided to join us. So he moved in Cowansville, and he joined the church. He became an elder in the French church, and we shared our dream with him about having an English church. At first, he didn't want to do that. He was here for the French people. But with a lot of convincing, a lot of prayer, he decided to go along with that dream. So we started to plant that English church. I'm going to get back to that later. Okay. In 2007, Pastor Simon Bélanger was called to serve in another church. He was my coach, and he felt that the time was right now to let me be senior pastor of the church, and for him to go on and move on and go serve in another church. So I became the senior pastor in 2007 of the French church, and we did a lot of outreach projects in Cowansville. We did car washes, we did garage sales, which we still do. We did door-to-door knocking. We had that group which is called GBEC. You see it, GBEC? GBEC, actually what it is young people from many churches in our French associations that decide to give their summer for the Lord, to serve the Lord. And they are trained at the beginning of the summer to preach the gospel, to share the gospel, and then they are sent in churches that ask for them to come and help in their outreach events for the summer. So we had those people come a couple of times in Cowansville to help us reach people, knock at their doors, do events in the parks and stuff like this. So they came. We had also food baskets that we give. And in 2009, this is where our English church started. And we didn't want to have that as a separate church, even if it was another language. We wanted to have those two churches work together for the Lord. And what's funny is that in Cowansville, the city armory, it's the symbol of the city. It's two hands shaking together, representing the French side and the English side united together, but it never worked in Cowansville. We have a high school in Cowansville with both sides, French and English, and there's always fighting. Sometimes with knives and stuff like this, but there's always fighting, as long as I can remember. So for us, it was really meaningful to show the world that in Jesus Christ, two cultures can be brought together under one banner, Christ's banner. So we are working hard for these two churches to work together. We share the same building together, even if we have our own services. We have a coffee break between the two services, and that coffee break is really important because this is where both sides can mingle together and speak together and share what the Lord is doing in our lives together. And we have from time to time bilingual services together, like on Thanksgiving. Sometimes we can have it, sometimes at Christmas, sometimes at other specific times like Easter. We actually do outreach event together. Was it last week? What was it on last Monday?
Thanksgiving.
Last Monday, Halloween. So some people from the French church with the English church, we went to Pastor David's house and we decorated the place with one side having kind of a road with rocks, and there was a big river there, and on the other side of the river it was all lighted up. It was kind of the kingdom of light, and at that place it was the kingdom of darkness, and there was the cross that was crossing the river, and I was disguised as an angel, and the people that came with their kids, we just shared the gospel with them, how they can cross from the darkness to the light through the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. And at the other side, in the kingdom of light, they received tracts, New Testament. They received candies. They were there for that. And if they wanted, we gave them some hot chocolate too. So we had a time of sharing and discussion with them. And after that, they went along. So we're working together to reach the people where they are with the gospel. In 2014, our congregation had to move really swiftly because the school board committee just gave us the news. Actually, they hit us with the news that they were to demolish the building we rented. And we had 1 month to move. And I said, whoa, wait a minute, 1 month, this is not enough. Give us at least 2 months. And they were kind enough to give us 2 months. But we really need to look at our options. And renting, everywhere we look, it was too expensive for our monthly budget. We cannot afford it. And to buy somewhere, buy a building, that was not really possible too, because we had only $40,000 at the bank. So we started to pray and get on our knees and fasting. And I think it was 2 weeks after that, with the help of some people from the fellowship, we just heard the news that I need to be really sure not to
Print shop.
Yeah, but we were looking about a print shop, just at the end of the street we were located. It was $165,000, but it was too expensive. We only had $40,000, but we received the news from the fellowship that we had a donation. We received a donation about, actually 2 donations. One was of $25,000, and the other one was of about $150,000. So we had enough to buy the building and start the renovation works that needed to be done in that building. And I'm going to talk about that later on. So we spent that month looking, and when we had that building, that we want to buy that building, we had to do some research to see if it was okay. Was the soil contaminated because it was an old print shop? How was the roof and all of that stuff? But meanwhile, we had to move. So at the last minute, at the last day, on the morning, we found a place in the industrial park of the town where they were willing to rent us a part of their warehouse. So it was a shop, and in that shop there was it was the warehouse, and they were willing to rent it to us. So we went there for a month, and even if we were at the back of a kind of a garage, the Lord still sent some people, and they found us there. And we didn't have any publicity anywhere, so we don't even know how they came to know about us. But they came anyway. And after a month, all was done, the paper was signed, and we moved to our new building in that old print shop. Okay, so this is the print shop as it was. You have the front on the left and the back on the right. Now, the front is on a one-way street, and it's not really frequently used street. But the back is on a corner, and that corner joins two principal streets in Cowansville, which are going like this. But you have a lot of lights like this. So people, just to avoid the lights, will take that detour and come just across the church there, across that building. Okay, we can go on. So we started in 2015, the renovation works. We had to start phase 1, which was the exterior. The ceiling, it was a flat roof ceiling, and it was leaking. We knew we had to change it, so we started to the work. So you can again. So it's taking form now. Okay. So this is the back. The back is starting to look now like a church. Okay. And finally, this is what it looks like now.
Very nice.
The only thing, okay. The only thing that it's on the picture, but it's not really there right now, it's Photoshop. It's the cross and the sign. They are being made right now. But that's what it's going to look like when it's going to be finished. This is the part of the print shop that was the warehouse. This is where we wanted to build our worship hall. This is what it was looking like at the beginning. We started the renovation works. Okay, this is Sonia. This is what it looks like now. And in 2015, we also started our food bank. That was another dream, and that was part of our vision in Cowansville. Since there was a lot of people who are being on welfare or are poor, we knew that that was a way to reach people right where they were in their life. So we started that food bank, which we called the 7 baskets. The story behind that is when we decided to move on with that idea, we wanted to have a name that was significant. At first, we talked about the horn, the abundant horn, but we did a little search, and this comes from Greek mythology, and we didn't want anything to do with it. We wanted to have something that would glorify our Lord, and without even talking to ourselves, all people who were on the committee for the food basket, in their reading of the Bible, they went to the second multiplication of the bread and the fish. And at the last, it says, after all people were fed, they brought how many baskets? 7 baskets full of what remains. And so we decided to call that like this. And that was really appropriate. I think that was really coming from God, because since we started, there really is an abundance that we can give people. And after everybody got served, there's our remainings, and these remainings we can cook it and share it in our next distribution day. So this is really exciting. This is how it was looking before the renovation. Now we do it in our worship hall still. Our worship hall, the way we did it, we want to have only chairs and tables that we can put aside so we can take the tables for distribution. In 2006, now we have in attendance, an average of attendance about 40 people, including the children. We now have 30 official members, and 4 of them are just new members. We celebrated a baptism, 4 baptism last Sunday, and it was really a good party, a good joy to see 4 people. 3 of these 4 people come from our food bank. So we see people connect to God's love through the food bank, and then they see how they're not judged because of their poverty or because of their sins. They see people loving them, and then they ask the question, well, what's going on here? And then we can share the gospel, and some of them come to the church to see what's going on, and then they meet the Lord and give their lives to Christ. In the English people church, there's an attendance of about 30 people, and every Sunday morning and weekdays in the meetings, there's a lot of people participating. So this is really sorry for my bad English, a living church. We really see the life of Christ in the church. It's really energetic. So our vision, by the way, how much time do I have left?
5 minutes.
Oh boy. Okay, I'm going to skip the vision part, because we have a vision to reach out to the new generation, 15 to 35, because we are an aging church. The average age is about 50 to 60 in our church. So if we want to be there in 15 years, we need to reach out to the new generations to continue God's work in Cowansville. So right now we're pouring our energy on how to reach these people, and not just inviting them over, because they won't come. They are Catholic and they won't set foot in an evangelical church. So how can we reach them where they are and in what they live? And so the food bank is an example of that. We have our garage sales. Québécois love garage sales. So we do it once a year, and with the profit we do with that, we buy school furnitures, so that we give when it's time to get back to school. And so this is another way we can reach people. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to skip the rest of the PowerPoint, because it's just showing that our vision is to reach these people. It's to be united, both French and English church. And now we're thinking about maybe reaching the Spanish population in Cowansville, because it's growing over the year. So that's what we want to do. About renovation, phase 2, we're starting this week. The interior of the building We want to have 2 washrooms. We want to have a kitchen so that we can teach people that come to the food bank how to cook. Because there's a lot of vegetables and these people need to be trained on how to cook and yeah. So the kitchen, and we want to make some divisions for Sunday school for the children. If we want to reach young families, we need to show them that their children have a place among us, and they have service for them. So that's what we want to do. Lasting shortly, Alan asked me to tell you about how I came to Christ. Well, I was raised in a Catholic family. My grandparents were really fervent Catholics. My mother was not. My parents divorced. I was 4, and I was living with my mother. And yeah, at the age of maybe 12, all the things that my grandparents told me about God and how they were living their faith, I tossed that away to go to occult sciences and well, stuff like this. And I was really immersed in these things. And by the age of 20, I was kind of insecure about my future. I had a job, but it was always, well, you know, when you're the last to come in, when there's a layoff, you're the first to come out. So that was my story. And I heard about something which is called Amway. Maybe some of you know about that movement. So I said, well, that will secure my future. And I went there, and there was a convention, an annual convention in Montreal, and I went there with the people that were with me. And on that convention, there was a conference on Sunday morning, which was not part of the convention. But the speaker there, they were Christians, and they shared on how they received Christ in their lives. And when I heard them speak, I didn't understand at all what they were talking about. But in my heart was beating like that. And there was that kind of voice saying, Eric, the truth that you're looking for, this is what they're talking about. So when they asked people to come out front to receive Christ, me and the 2 other guys that were with me, we went up front. Yeah, and they gave me a New Testament. That was the first time I really read the Bible, really to see what God had to say. And not long after that, some people from our mother church in Granby, they called me to see if I want to meet with them and hear about the gospel. And I said, well, yeah, okay, I'm not sure, but I'm going to go. And what I expected that they would take their Bible and say, you need to repent. And that's not what they did. Yeah, they were really lovely people. And they were gentle, and they just opened the Bible and showed me what God had to say about who I was, how I was a sinner, lost, that needed to be saved from my sin, washed from my sin, and that how God loved me so much that He gave His only Son on the cross for me. Wow, that was the first time I heard the gospel this way. And when they asked me, do you want to receive Christ in your life? Do you want to invite Him to take over your life? Immediately I said yes. And I'm an enthusiastic guy, so without thinking, I said yes. But when I came back home, I realized just what I did. Man, I gave my life to the Creator of the universe. Okay, that's serious stuff. So when I went home, I close my door and my room, and I kneel before my bed and I pray, well, Jesus, if what they told me tonight is true, take my life. Take it, because it doesn't do any sense for me anymore. Just take it. Do whatever you want with him. The only thing I'm asking you is that you take care of me. And in that time, every night, because I was in the occult science, every night I dreamt that I was pursued by demons. And I knew that were not just dreams. It was true. And from that night that I gave my life to Christ, I never dreamt that I was pursued by demons anymore. I was free from that. And when I woke up next morning, I had that joy in my heart that I couldn't explain. I really wanted to dive in my Bible and see what God had in store for me. And I wasn't fascinated by death anymore as I was, like vampires, zombies, and stuff like that. I didn't care anymore about those things. I wanted to know life. And so that's how my new life started. And some years after that, one thing. I was drawing before. Since I was 4, I was drawing a lot of pictures, characters, and stuff like that, but unfortunately it was not to glorify the Lord at all. And when I came to Christ, I decided to throw that all the way into the trash and stop drawing, because I didn't want to offend the Lord anymore. And some years after the Lord, while I was reading a book on evangelization, I heard the Lord's soft voice telling me, you need to draw a comic book for me. And I fought with the Lord a little bit on that, because I said, Lord, can I really honor you with the way I draw? And it stayed like that for a couple of weeks, and then I went to a Christian store and I saw a poster of Revelation 19 with the coming back of the Lord, and it was exactly in my style of drawing. So that was my answer. Okay, Lord, I can honor you with the way I draw. So I started to draw comics for him, and I think 1 year after that, the Lord called me to be a minister for him, take care of the sheep. It was on a night where I really felt sad about something I had done, and I asked forgiveness from the Lord. And I was saying, Lord, whatever you want me to do, I'm willing to do it. I was really broken. And yeah, the Lord told me just to open my Bible, and I was at the last chapter of John, where the Lord is on the beach with his disciple after his resurrection. And he asked Peter, Peter, do you love me? Yes, Lord, I love you, so take care of my sheep. And I really felt that it was not Peter's name there, but it was mine. So that's how the Lord called me to ministry. And I shared that with my pastors at the time, and they started to coach me. And I joined our theological seminar in Montreal, starting my degree. And now here I am with my beautiful wife. We've been married for 15 years now, and serving the Lord in the Church of Cowansville. And, well, I guess that's about it. It's okay? By the way, if some of you would like to see what I do as an artist, I brought some stuff, so just come and see me, and that'll be my pleasure.